Divinatory arts. Demons were powerful, capable of killing man and beast, but they could not altogether destroy life, nor could they permanently disrupt the order of nature. An eclipse of the sun might cause panic, but ultimately the sun emerged victorious from this struggle against evil, for did it not rise and set day after day, with the seasons following one another, bringing sowing and harvesting? Man stimulated the rhythm of nature by incantation, dance, and gesture, and the stars moved in accordance with immutable laws as if to bear witness to the harmony of the world. With the progress of civilization, the early dualism was modified. In Chaldea, wise men discovered a higher order and a better law. By contemplation of the night sky, the Chaldean priests conceived a supreme god from whom sprang the other deities. This God was a creative power chained to the eternal law which he embodied, and submitting to his own decrees. A pure religion, based upon a philosophical system, was born from Akkad's demoniacal world. About 2,000 years before our era, a reform took place. A caste of priests was founded in whom all occult knowledge was concentrated. They were masters in the arts of prescience, predicting the future from the livers and intestines of slaughtered animals, from fire and smoke, and from the brilliancy of precious stones. They foretold events from the murmuring of springs and from the shape of plants. Trees spoke to them, as did serpents, wisest of all animals. Monstrous births of animals and of men were believed to be portents, and dreams found skillful interpreters. Atmospheric signs, rain, clouds, wind, and lightning were interpreted as forebodings. The cracking of furniture and wooden panels foretold future events. Such crackling was called asaput, the prophetic voice. It did not always bode ill, sometimes presaging the rejoicing of the heart. Flies and other insects, as well as dogs, were the carriers of occult messages. If a red dog enters the temple, the gods will desert it. If a dog is found lying upon the king's throne, the palace will be burned down. If a white dog enters the temple, it will stand for a long time. If a gray dog enters the temple, it will be deprived of its possessions. If a yellow dog enters the king's palace, the palace will be destroyed. The Chaldeans sought also to prognosticate the future through arrow divination. In the writings of Ezekiel we read, "The king of Babylon stands at the parting of the ways, at the fork of the two roads, practicing divination. He shakes the arrows." According to St. Jerome, the king used the arrows for a strategic purpose. In order to know which city he should attack first, he marked his arrows with the names of his enemies. He put them into the quiver and, after shaking them, took out one of the arrows. The name it bore directed the army to its first attack. The practices of divination may seem puerile, or at least so primitive in character as to appear irreconcilable with the elaborate Chaldean cosmogony. However, such reasoning does not take into account the world concept of the Chaldeans, which was essentially magical, akin to that of the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. We find similar superstitions among all these peoples, where divination is the logical application of their theory of magic. To the Magus, there exists no accidental happening. Everything obeys the one law, which is not resented as a coercion, but rather welcomed as a liberation from the tyranny of chance. The world and its gods submit to this law, which binds together all things and all events. Certa stand omnia lege. Everything is established solidly by that law which the wise man discerns in happenings that appear accidental to the profane. The curve observed in the flight of birds, the barking of a dog, the shape of a cloud, are occult manifestations of that omnipotent coordinator, the source of unity and harmony.